Hello everybody and welcome to the HacettepePathology.com, and in this month I'm going to share two cases within similar spectrum, and this case is 30-year-old male from oral cavity. There's a mass. We have this multinodular well circumscribed tumor with spindle cells, and as you see, we have you can appreciate the mixocollagenous background, and the cells look like buckled. The nuclei are buckled, and actually this is a good histology for neurofibroma. And so these are the Schwann cells. The differential diagnosis include schwannoma, and neurofibroma, or low-grade malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumor. And in some areas, you can. I mean, this is normal. Normal configuration that is seen in neurofibroma, as depicted by the Schwann cells and edematous mixocollagenous background and accompanying inflammatory cells, mainly composed of mast cells, and there is no nuclear ATP at all. And in some areas this cellularity increase, and you may see the loss of architecture. And in this particular case, the decision of loss of architecture was not easy, but there were some additional concerning features, such as mitotic figures. And here we have a mitotic figure right here, and let me show in a high power. Here there's a mitotic figure here, as another was over there, but it's not easy to find it. Yes, that is it. It is okay. We see two mitoses, and in this case, we decided to call this atypical neurofibromatous neoplasm with unknown biological potential. You may say that why this is not a schwannoma, and the answer is schwannoma is also accompanied by the vessels, hyalinized vessels, damaged vessels, but we don't have vessels of schwannoma here. So maybe cellular schwannoma. We don't have Anthony A and Anthony B areas, but cellular schwannomas do have. But in the cellular schwannomas, you have peritumoral lymphoid cuff, which is absent here. So here is the S100 staining. You expect to have heterogeneous staining. Some of the cells at least won't stain. Those cells which are negative for S100 are fibroblastic cells and perineural cells. And in this case, although the majority of the cells stain with S100, there should be some cells which are negative, and this is CD34 staining, which stains the background fibroblastic, the cells with fibroblastic differentiation. This is CD34 staining seen in a neurofibroma. EMA could be also used, but here the diagnosis was ANNUBP, and I'm going to mention those entities within a second after showing the other case, the next case. And this case was also this case was 50-year-old male from sacral region, and we have a tumor with myxocollagenous background, and we have long spindle cells this time, and the cells again show some buckling, and you can also appreciate the presence of the scattered inflammatory cells throughout the lesion. And this case was also positive for S100 here, and this is more heterogeneous. We have some cells not staining, and some other cells are staining for S100 here. And the CD34 this time was quite impressive, that majority of cells were CD34 positive. So the outside clinic has some concern about antric rearranged tumors because of the co-expression of CD34 and S100, but we ordered a SOX10, which is expected to be negative in antric tumors, but here this is strong positive nuclear positivity of as SOX10 is against the diagnosis of antric rearranged tumors. And of course we didn't have the perivascular hyalinization in this tumor. So this is EMA, and the cells, some bipolar cells were positive for EMA. That shows the perineural differentiation in this case. But the interesting part of this case was there were scattered atypical nuclei here, and there, another one here. So we are also concerned about neurofibroma with, if you have neurofibroma with atypical cells, and if you find some mitotic figures, again this time also you may have some concerns in the diagnosis of a benign diagnosis. So but in this case there was no loss of architecture or increased cellularity. All we have was scattered nuclear atypia, as seen here, and I couldn't find it now, but there were also 1 or 2 mitotic figures. There was no necrosis. So if I couldn't find any mitosis, I would call these tumors an ancient neurofibroma. However, since we have again a mitotic figure, again the diagnosis was ANNUBP. So I'm going to just talk briefly about the diagnosis of ANNUBP. So this is a relatively recent paper about this terminology, and these atypical neurofibromatous tumors are renamed like ANNUBP, and this is mainly this deals with mainly with the patients with neurofibromatosis, but I also find this terminology quite suitable for the the tumors with non-neurofibromatosis patients. So this is the classification here. So we have neurofibroma and plexiform neurofibroma, and we have the ancient neurofibroma. If you have scattered by bizarre nuclei without mitosis or necrosis, you can call ancient neurofibroma or neurofibroma with atypia, like ancient schwannoma. Or if you have only hypercellularity, so you can call this as Hiller neurofibroma. But if you have 2 of 4 features that I'm going to describe now: cytologic atypia, loss of neurofibroma architecture, hypercellularity, or mitosis above 1 and below 3 for 10 pi power, so high power field, you can call this atypical neurofibromatous neoplasm with unknown biological potential. So if you have more mitosis, you can either, or necrosis, you can diagnose as either low or high grade MPNST. But if you have the features fall short of to give diagnosis of MPNST, you have now a very nice diagnostic category. So I'm going to show a brief summary what was before this article. Is Bernd Scheitauer, rest in peace, and Weiss and Goldblum has different categorization, like atypical neurofibroma, cellular neurofibroma, and there were some discrepancies among these 2 classifications. So the last one with ANNUBP has it seems to resolve this difference in the classification of this type of tumors. Thank you very much, and see you next year, and Happy New Year.